Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 66 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California, and who's executing episode 66 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania today, my best friend in the entire world, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing?
Execute Order 66. I'm sorry, episode. I already messed it up. I'm doing great, Ray. I'm pretty charged up tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. It's Sunday night. Anything with 66, Mario Lemieux, the Emperor, Order 66. It's pretty good. Order 66 now amplified, much better this year, this last kind of 12 months from today back for two reasons. One, the Clone Wars had it. It was excellent.
Yes.
And two, Fallen Order had it. It was excellent. Both of them better than the actual Order 66, in which Hayden Christensen gave one of the best C+ performances I have ever seen in my life. I mean, strong C+ work. I will pledge myself to your teachings. Good. My master. You know, C+. I mean, that's probably being generous. I'm great, Ray. How is LA doing today?
We're all right. We're, still getting ready for another lockdown that's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. But I got lots of video games to play, so I'm happy. I got the new Paper Mario. And I've got
Origami King. Yes.
Origami King, exactly. And Ghost of Tsushima. I have that. I've been playing that on stream, so I'm real happy about both those things.
I got Crash Bandicoot for half off. Insane Trilogy.
Nice.
Great deal. My son played it, and now I'm walking around the house going, Akuna Maga, ba-dum-bum, all the time. So I am winning. Akuna Maga.
There you go.
To be fair, I've been saying that since I was like 15.
That is true. That is true.
Probably young. Probably more like 12 or 13. Hey, Ray. Akuna Maga, ba-dum-bum.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry. This
so,
happens.
We have a really big sports section for you, everybody, today. We have a really big show planned for today. A lot to talk about. Baseball's back on Thursday. Different guys who are making rosters, not making rosters, guys opting out. A lot of stuff in football, obviously, with the Washington team. Madden Ratings came out this week. But, we're talking about... I'm actually going to flip things up. We're going to do Geeks first because we're talking about Order 66. And the perfect thing to kick off, probably the biggest news to come out of Geekdom this week, is they announced they are going to do a Star Wars The Bad Batch cartoon on Disney+. Lee, what are your thoughts on... I'm sure you're very excited, obviously, The Bad Batch.
I am.
I'll let you explain what the Bad Batch is.
I will explain it right now. So in the Clone Wars, and this is a spoiler if you want to watch the last season. It's not a major spoiler. It's something that's not going to ruin your day if you find out. Yeah. But the idea is there's a bad batch of clone troopers that all have some sort of defect, meaning one's too large, one's too thin, one too smart. Okay, one's too warrior. They're a bad batch of clone troopers, and they are renegade clone troopers. I will not tell you the storyline in Clone Wars Season 7 because I don't want to ruin it for you. So you should go watch that, but it's a pretty major part of this. About 4 of the 10 episodes, I'd say, are focused on them. But really cool characters that they introduced. And I think that they got done with the Skywalker trilogy. Finally, they were talking about, what do you do with this? And then someone at Star Wars at Disney went, I have an idea. And the light went on, Ray. The light went on. Okay, and they were like, what should we do? The Bad Batch. Hold on. It's way too bright for our viewers. Okay, for those of you at home who are listening, I just turned this big light on. I could do that. Yes, Ray.
There we go.
Ray. Now I'm shining it like when you used to do with the flashlights as a kid.
Yes.
I am seeing so many wrinkles on my face that I'm going to shut that guy back off a minute. All right? Okay, so basically they're going to make a show about these troopers, and I'm excited about it for many reasons. One is we don't know when it's going to take place. Okay, and I love the idea that because they're the Bad Batch, Order 66 most likely did not affect them. Okay, so one of the big... this is going to be a spoiler once again, okay? One of the big things that Clone Wars almost rectified, might be the word, is that all the clone troopers had a chip in their head that activated Order 66, thus explaining why almost all of them turned on the Jedi without even thinking.
Yeah.
Right, because one of the big criticisms was how could they do that after that whole war and they trusted them. And almost as expected or whatever, they have a chip in their head. One of the reasons Captain Rex survives is because they remove the chip from his head. Okay?
Right.
So it's very cool to see that this is going to happen, where it's going to go. Might be a prequel. It might be it might take place after the Clone Wars ended, sometimes between that, episode 3, episode 4 time period. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that Star Wars is banking on these characters. They're banking on things that are working. They've doubled down on the Mandalorian. They're doubling down on Clone Wars. They're doubling down on Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
I mean, they're figuring it out now that, hey, look, let's go with what's working. Let's not force Star Wars down people's throat. And, again, that's where the Skywalker, the last 3 movies have kind of they jammed it down our throat again. Again, really promising start with The Force Awakens. I really love that movie. I really have no issues with The Force Awakens. But the other 2 movies were kind of, The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker were victims of their time. At a time where streaming became everything and, the stories were rushed. And, I don't like hearing that people keep saying, look, the book of Rise of Skywalker is really, really way better than the movie. That's not great to hear. Okay?
No,
I mean,
it's not.
Books are usually better than movies, but they're like, explain so much more.
Yeah.
Or that the unfilmed script is better. Anyway, I digress. The Bad Batch is a really cool storyline. It's a really creative way to continue the Clone Wars story and the Clone Trooper story, because one of the things that the show really, really did well was give you insight into the Clone Troopers. And it makes you feel for these guys. I mean, I know people who cried in the last episode when certain people died. All right, Clone Troopers died. I know people that cried. It was not me. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was not me. But I know people that cried. So it's a great way to continue the storyline of the Clone Trooper, something that's really found its way into the Star Wars lore in a cool place. And again, you're going to see this. You're going to see this in the Mandalorian. You're going to see this continue in the Mandalorian. So I'm really excited about it, and I think it's a great move. It's a smart move. I don't think they can really lose. You know what I mean? And remember, it took a long time for this last season of the Clone Wars to show up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They did a great job. They figured it out, and it's totally worth going forward.
Yeah, and I think it's something that I've appreciated with Clone Wars and Rebels and everything that they did with the cartoons is that they weren't afraid to borrow ideas from the expanded universe, which of course the expanded universe is no longer canon. It's alternate universe with other stuff, but Legends, yeah. But Grand Admiral Thrawn was originally introduced in the expanded universe, right? The idea of a Bad Batch was actually originally introduced in the expanded universe. People may not realize that there's actually a book where I think it was Leia and Han. They get stranded on a planet, and on that planet, they come across basically a colony of clone troopers who are a little off, and they still all have their armor and stuff tucked away. They're older now, obviously, but they've settled down, had families, and they explained they're our genetic makeup was just off enough that we could safely have kids and all this other stuff and everything, and we settled down and they became farmers and stuff. But they found the idea that there was occasionally a Bad Batch of clones in Camino, and so the expanded universe, to do this, obviously they've incorporated it in a much more interesting and much more vibrant way than just having them be farmers at the Bad Batch. But, it's fun to see that they're taking ideas, that building them, incorporating them into the main canon again, and doing it in a fun and interesting way that continues to expand the Star Wars lore and doesn't necessarily involve the Skywalkers.
Yeah, and this also proves that, it also just proves the way forward is the right way. Everybody's so focused on the Skywalker trilogy. We talked about this a few episodes. Move forward, guys. Yeah. Stop focusing on the Skywalker time periods, okay? Let's move forward. Another cool nod to Captain Rex, who's a major clone trooper in the Clone Wars, was they actually changed the canon of Return of the Jedi. I don't know how many people know this, but there's a character in Return of the Jedi that actually is a clone trooper. They changed it. Obviously, they didn't know that when they were filming it originally, but they changed it so it is actually a main character from the Clone Wars. So, I think they're doing the right thing. I think they're going the right way. That last season was really well done. It was very dark. Again, Star Wars is always better when it's dark. It just lends itself, at least in this time period. I'm sure in the 70s that was different. But yeah, excited about it. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to talk about it again whenever that comes out.
Yes, indeed. And speaking about making the necessary changes and moving forward, Pokemon Go made a major change to their game this week. Finally. Finally. The raid pass consumption, basically, as Lee makes a change to his Pokemon Go hat, his Pokemon Trainer Ash hat. It used to be that whenever you entered into a gym to take on a Pokemon a raid, you would automatically waste the pass is done. The pass is done. There's nothing else you can do with it, and you hope that people would join you. Now, yes. It's only if you actually reach the battle phase and battle the Pokemon that the raid pass is consumed. This way, because I know for a fact, even out here raiding, sometimes, especially during the pandemic, a lot of folks you're kind of waiting to see, like, okay, well, is some people going to jump in? Should I hold on to the pass? Should I not hold on to the pass? Should I jump in so that other people see that, yes, there are people who will raid with us? It's an interesting thing. It's something that should have been done many, many years ago. It should have been, we're already 4 years into the game now. It should have been done years ago. But it's now good that people can jump in, wait till the last second, jump back out, not lose the pass. That costs real-world money. You could grind for coins in the game, but if you want to really get into, if you want to really raid a lot, you need to spend real-world money, and people don't have to waste their passes now hoping someone will join them. So I think this is something that's been a long time coming, and it's about time Pokemon Go continuing to make the necessary changes.
So, one, I love that we're using the phrase real-world money.
Yeah.
Real-world money. I think that's pretty cool. It says a lot about actually where gaming has gone. Second is that, this is what's funny about this, Ray, is that this is never a problem for me because I never have anyone to raid with. In fact, my experience with raiding is if there's someone else raiding with me, I'm like, no way! Okay. Let me put this in perspective for everybody, whether you play Pokemon Go or not. So when you raid, you can raid with other people in the area. Okay, that's the idea. So you're pretty much... You're fighting a boss. I'm just going to put this in layman's terms. You're fighting a boss, and the more people, the easier it is to win. Okay? So in Ray's area of the world, it's almost always multiple people. They can take down major Pokemon that have major strengths, and it's not easy to do. In my world, there's never anyone to raid with, ever. It is literally just me and my kid together, and once in a blue moon, somebody else may be around, and I never even see them because they're probably remotely doing it or something else. So... this is not a feature I'm probably going to use. All right, like the feature I want is I need the countdown not to be 2 minutes. I need it to be 20 seconds because no one's ever around, right?
Yeah.
But I understand why it is that way. Now, with that said, when they introduce buddy raids, right,
which is supposed to be coming very soon,
coming soon. Which buddy raids means Ray can invite me to a raid in LA. That's where this is going to be pretty awesome for both of us.
Yes.
Right, because it's going to open the game up for me. So Ray has painstakingly having to get me all of these major Pokemon that I can't get. I know there are Pokemon in the game that even I could be the most powerful player in the game.
They're purposely strengthened up to make you forced to play with at least 5 or 6 other people.
Which makes it all the more impressive that I almost have all of the first generation Pokemon on my own. But the point is that I love that this game, this is more of a business thing. I just love that this game keeps innovating and keeps bringing you in. It would not be unfair to say that this is a genius type of platform. And I think this game, it's 4 years old, and it keeps me coming back all the time. The only time I didn't play the game was when I lived in an area where there legit were no Pokemon and no Pokestops. There was no point to playing, obviously.
Right.
All right? But it keeps us coming back, and they keep innovating. And I appreciate that as, a mobile gamer. Is just there's always a reason to come back. In fact, right now it's a little stagnant right now, so I'm not playing it as much. I've noticed that, but I know they're going to keep me coming back. Look, it's a great update because I can totally see it from the point of view with someone who has a lot of friends to raid with. Mm-hmm. And like you said, we don't want to use too much real world money.
Yeah, not too much to try to avoid it. Although I did spend my $15 for next week's anniversary event, so I have my pass for that.
I may join you on that.
Yes. So, because there'll be a new legendary that comes out next week. So
excellent. I'm ready.
Yeah, and also supposedly they're supposed to be adding mega evolutions, but I'm curious to see how they do that. If it's going to be a fourth evolution for certain Pokemon, is it going to be a special stone like it is in the game, where it's a temporary thing? I would prefer that because there's a lot of Pokemon that have Mega Evolutions that I don't have enough candy to evolve again, and I would have to grind for more Blastoise candy or Squirtle candy and more. Yeah. Although today was good. Today was Ghastly Community Day as we're recording this. I did not catch a shiny Ghastly, but that's okay. But I got plenty of candy.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open the game. We're going to keep talking. I'm going to open the game right now because this is how this typically works. Yeah. My first one will be shiny. That's just how it works because if Ray didn't get one,
I know you're not going to get a shiny because it's over. It's over now.
It's not. You watch this happen. I'm going to do it right now.
Watch.
I'm opening up the app. and I'll let you know when they show up.
Okay, and I promise.
No, I know. I'm just teasing you. Don't worry.
There's no more Gasly. They went away a half hour ago.
We'll find out.
The event
wait,
ended.
I got an egg hatchet now. We'll see what happens here, Ray. No,
all right. What kind of egg? Well, live. This is the riveting content people come here for. What egg is good? What is going to pop out of the egg for Lee?
It is a gulpin. It's nothing big. It's not a big deal.
That's nothing good. That's not good.
That's not a big deal at all.
All right.
That's it is. Now I
yeah.
have to listen to the rest of the episode really upset that there was nothing exciting there. I'm sorry.
But speaking of innovating and moving forward, though, constantly, you know who else has always been doing that? Nintendo. Nintendo is constantly innovating and constantly trying new things as Lee switches back to his Geeks Who Like Sports hat. And something that they've been doing recently is they came out with Lego pieces, Lego sets. I have my mug too. Nintendo's been coming out with Lego stuff for Mario Brothers, and now they've actually they're coming out with a $230 Lego NES kit that that interacts with the Mario sets and gives different items and plays different music. And I'm not gonna lie, it looks impressive. It's a fun piece of nostalgia. It's a little pricey for my tastes, but I know there's a lot of Lego collectors out there who are absolutely chomping at the bit to get their hands on this. And again, it's just fun to see Nintendo, again, acknowledging their roots and continuing to innovate and offer fun things that play to that as they move forward. Lee, what are your thoughts on the $230 Lego Nintendo Entertainment System?
So I love Nintendo. I love the NES. It was the first system I ever had. I love Mario. This is one of the dumbest ideas I've ever seen. I'm not going to lie to you. No. Okay. Ray, don't you get it? This is Nintendo's new system.
Yeah.
No, look, I'm joking about it being one of the dumbest ideas. It's a collector's item. I'm not spending $230 on it. It's cool. But once you build it, it sits. It doesn't have the time. With the new systems coming out, I mean, like, if you have the money for this, good for you. But, like, there's no way that the common gamer is going to be able to buy that.
Yeah.
I wish they had some other options, to be honest with you. Like, but, like, I don't want to build a gray rectangle out of rectangle blocks. I love building Legos with my son.
Yeah.
But no. So I'm just a no on this one. Nice idea. Cool that it's out there.
Yeah.
Don't need that one.
Yeah, no, I agree. This really feels like it's more for the collectors than it is for the common Lego builder. That's who we are. We represent the common Lego man here at Geeks Who Like Sports.
Or boy.
Yeah. But, so that's it. So a short geek section this week.
That's okay. It happens. It
does happen. It's a light week. A lot of things will obviously be coming out. I'm sure we'll give a full review for Ghost of Tsushima.
Hey, come on! It's awesome that it's. I mean, when have we had this much sports before? I mean, this is the turning of the tide here.
That's true. It is a lot of sports, a lot of big stuff, a lot of things that have been long overdue coming down.
Wait, I want to make this. I want to make this announcement. If things go as planned, this will be the last episode we have done during the pandemic where there is no live sports to talk about, which is a big deal to me.
Yes.
Because I remember when everything got shut down, you and I had these conversations of like, look, we're going to have stuff to talk about, but we got to really be creative here. And I thought we got through this with pretty big ease. And I think you as the audience have done a great job supporting us during this time. So let's give these people a round of applause at home for listening to all these episodes as we did. This is the last episode of Geeks Who Liked Sports. Next week it will be Geeks Who Like Sports again.
Yes.
No, but baseball's back this week. Sorry, that's what I'm segueing to. Baseball is back this week, so this is the last episode where there is no live sporting events that we've had in 5 months.
Yeah, no, it's been that exactly. It's been that long. We haven't had hockey or basketball since March.
Mid-March.
So really 4. So, but still, like, it's been that long, and I'm so happy baseball's back. I'm so happy baseball's back. Thursday, as we are recording this on a Sunday, Thursday, baseball will be back officially. It's Yankees versus Nationals.
Sports will be back.
Yes.
Sports will be back.
Sports will be back because, even at a week later after that will be hockey on August the 1st, which is a Saturday.
Yes.
But baseball, we've talked about this before, baseball had to be first. They had to get back first.
No, not now, Gritty.
Couple more weeks, Gritty. Couple more weeks.
Not now,
Couple more weeks. Think about it. In 2 episodes, we will be talking about the first day of the round robin and of hockey and everything. So episode 68 is something to look forward to. Episode 67 will be a recap of the early baseball games. And episode 66 here that we're executing right now is our final preview before baseball starts. Inter-squad matchups actually started yesterday. You actually had different teams: Mets and Yankees, Nationals and Phillies.
We call it preseason usually.
Right, yeah, spring training,
inter-squad matchups.
Yeah, but this was good to see. The Yankees killed the Mets, which of course they would. But
Phillies destroyed the Nats.
Yeah, Scherzer did not look good at all. So.
No, no, I'm not judging anybody right now.
No, this is everybody just getting back into shape, really trying to start to face live pitching, all that other stuff. So nobody's going to be judged here for how they performed yesterday. But it was good to see. A lot of big stories coming out of baseball now, though. The biggest possibly is Toronto will not play in Toronto. Canada, because the U.S. has botched the virus response so badly. Canada, the federal Canadian government, the mayor of Toronto was on board, the premier of Ontario was on board, but the federal Canadian government said we cannot have athletes going back and forth that regularly across the Canadian-American border. So now Toronto has the unenviable task of trying to scramble and figure out where they'll play their home games. So far, their spring training facility in Florida has been mentioned. Buffalo, where their AAA team has been mentioned. You've had, and also Charlotte, other minor league facilities have been mentioned. Sharing a home stadium with some teams has been mentioned. Nothing solid as of this moment. But Lee, what are your thoughts on the Toronto Blue Jays not playing in Toronto?
Well, one is I applaud the Canadian government for taking a stand against that. We would have done the same thing, and we have. And I can't blame them at all. I'm not segueing out of this, but this is why the NHL is doing all of their games in Canada. There's no going across the border. It's two Canadian cities. That brings up the bigger issue of, as I said before, I do not know why baseball is not doing that. I don't see why baseball teams have to travel. I don't understand why they have to play in their home parks. I think this should have been a bubble type situation where maybe not 2 places, but 4 or 6, where there's multiple games a day would have made a lot more sense to me from a health standpoint. Baseball rushed back. Again, baseball's such a weird deal here where they're the last ones that signed their agreement begrudgingly, horribly, and they were the first ones back, which I kind of get and kind of don't get, okay? But the Blue Jays will find a home. I mean, again, you figure half the games are away anyway. There's no reason they can't figure it out or play, I have a feeling they're going to be playing in multiple places. And again, people are going to look at that's an unfair deal for the Blue Jays. It depends how they respond to it as a team. Okay, you can take it and run with it or not. I mean, there's nothing normal about this year. And it's not like there's any fans, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's one of those things of I understand why they did it. It makes sense. I don't understand why they didn't play in bubble cities, and it makes you wonder if the Canadian government fears about that. Then shouldn't we be a little bit more worried about 30 teams traveling across the country all the time?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not like the flying commercial. But it's still, I don't understand it. I don't understand why they didn't just do bubble cities in baseball.
No, I agree. That's what hockey did with obviously Edmonton and Toronto. It keeps everybody close by. It makes a lot of sense. And yeah, unfortunately, you've got baseball cities that everybody's gonna be traveling. I will say this. At least I guess the good thing is that Toronto being on this side of the border is that now they'll be closer to everybody. But it is a weird situation, and it's everybody's just trying to make the best of a tough time. And like you said, hopefully they'll adapt. Yeah. But again, we're in agreement on this. The fact that baseball didn't do hub cities, this again seems to be the first mark against them for not doing that.
It does. Again, the argument we did have, the devil's advocate, if you will, is that every baseball stadium is different, and I understand that, but it still doesn't make sense. In football, this is much easier. Every field is the same size, so you could bubble it if you really wanted to. Again, this depends on how the pandemic is going. But yeah, it's something to keep an eye on for sure. It has been exciting to see the kind of the summer kind of preseason kind of inter-squad games. I mean, look, everyone that I've talked to that was even critical of the sports coming back has been like, all right, this is feeling pretty good. So I'm looking forward to what comes next. So real quick side note, Ray, because we forgot to talk about this, but I did want to mention, so Edmonton, the arena in Edmonton had a little bit of a flood over the last week. The ground floor, like where you enter, was like a few inches of water in there. Now the reason I'm bringing this up is people are like, well, how are they going to play there? How are they going to do this? There's no fans. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. If the ice is, I remember the ice is usually a few floors above ground. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
No one's going in the arena. They could be cleaning that up and having games at the same time. So I'm not trying to make light of the fact that it flooded there. That's horrible. But
yes.
This is the one time ever that's actually not a problem.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
The ground floor could flood. There's no problem there. So like, how are they going to play if the concierge is flooded? No one's going to the concierge right now.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's not a big deal.
The concourse, you can't walk the concourse. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, they're not playing the game on the concourse unless they're playing an e-hockey tournament.
Yes. So getting back to baseball, I do want to mention this is Clint Frazier of the Yankees in yesterday's game. We need to mention this. I sent Lee the link when he hit his massive home run. But Clint Frazier has made the decision to play the entire season wearing a mask. And obviously, if you saw his home run yesterday, it is not affecting his ability to play whatsoever. Because he said it, when he's in the batter's box, there's two other guys there right next to him within 6 feet. There's a catcher and there's an umpire. And he also wants to take the precautions of being careful around his team. This, to me, is the ultimate. And for somebody who basically, and I admit this, I was one of Clint Frazier's biggest detractors a couple of years ago. But I'm hoping that this is what a leader does. This is the kind of example that a leader would set, and it shows that I think in just a couple years that I think he's matured a lot as a player and probably a person. And I wish that more players would actually follow his example, because it's clear that if he can play the outfield and hit home runs at Citi Field, that he, with a mask, that there's no reason why more players can't do this. Actually, Buster Posey, until he decided to opt out because of his twins, was doing the same thing, but he decided to opt out overall. So I don't know, I wanted to bring light to that because a lot of folks are making fun of him, and honestly, if you're making fun of him, you're probably a moron. Because this makes perfect sense, and he showed yesterday that his playing level is just as good with a mask on as without.
Got 3 words for you, Ray. Performance enhancing mask. What was in that mask that helped him hit that home run? Okay, was this a Bane situation where he had unbelievable strength? You think it's funny now. You wait till Long Gone Summer 2 comes out in 20 years when we find out that those masks were filled of, things that were... Yeah, no, it's awesome that he did that. Look, we're not going to sidetrack too much into masks. I'm just going to say, I still don't get the big deal. I mean, I hate that. I cannot stand that this has been politicized to the point that we're having some of the dumbest conversations I have ever heard in my life about just, the idea of just help me help you kind of thing, and that don't buy into the hype. Like, I don't care about the hype. I don't care about the hype. It's just like everybody. Anyway, look, if you disagree with it, you disagree with it. But no, nobody should be making fun of a baseball player for doing that to protect the people around him and himself. The big thing about masks, I think people forget. I will say this publicly. Keep in mind, I am married to a doctor. It's not so much that you don't get it. It's so you don't give it to somebody else.
Right.
Okay? And the idea is that if you have it, even if you don't know you have it, and you sneeze, if you have a mask on, a lot less of it, not all of it, but a lot less of it will go out there. And it's a significantly less chance of it going to somebody else. Not a political thing. It's not a freedom thing.
It's
just a medical
literally
thing.
Just doing the just doing the bare minimum to help out your fellow man.
Yeah. There's so many other freedom things you can do that don't affect other people's health that need to be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But look. Again, baseball is a sport in which I do believe, I should say this too, you could do this in baseball. I don't think hockey can do it.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm playing right now. There's no way I could wear a mask and effectively breathe. I'm not saying that it couldn't be done, But
Right.
like I've seen guys try, and you can't do it. It's just there's not enough oxygen. But with that said, it has to be a safe environment to begin with.
Yeah.
The other one is obviously basketball is the same thing. And keeping in mind too, like there's no touching really in baseball. There's some scenarios obviously, but like
Right.
basketball players rubbing up against each other. You know, if you're on a face-off, you're in the guy's face. Football guys touch each other. So like, I mean, the mask is almost irrelevant in those sports in terms of a safety perspective. But in baseball, it makes total sense. If anyone wants to wear a mask or doesn't want to play, again, to be fair, I haven't heard too many people making fun of anybody. But what was in that mask, Ray? PEM, performance enhancing mask. You've heard it here first.
Well, and
okay?
speaking of...
You thought the Astros were bad. Just you wait.
Well, you know,
Execute episode 66.
Yes. Well, we mentioned, speaking of the rosters and things of that nature, there's been a lot of moves going on the past couple weeks. There's been obviously a lot of guys have opted out. Some guys have tried to opt back in. It's allowed a lot of people to get opportunities, and we've talked about this before. I've led up to the fact that like, look, this could be an opportunity for some guys to play. They probably weren't going to play this year.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Nick Markakis opted out in Atlanta. Funny enough, they signed Yasiel Puig, who was a free agent, but Puig failed his physical because he actually had COVID. They tested him for COVID. He failed it, so he did not get that opportunity. But one guy I wanted to talk about, which I think was really great, and I told this to Lee yesterday, is a guy named Daniel Bard. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Daniel Bard, he was a pitcher, a reliever, sometimes a spot starter for the Red Sox at the end of the 2000s, early 2010s, and he had a real bad couple of years there. They sent it under the minors. He really continued to struggle, lost his command. If you guys remember Rick Ankiel of the Cardinals years ago, same thing kind of happened to him. He kind of just fell apart and couldn't, and they actually converted him to an outfielder, and he had a couple of good years after that. But like for a while as a pitcher, he just he lost it for some reason. We've seen this before. Sometimes it's a mental thing. It's happened. Dude retired for a couple of years, joined the Diamondbacks front office, had a decent career there. He's 35 years old. He's like, you know what? I'm going to give it one more chance. I'm going to give it one more shot. I think I can still do it. And he started throwing again. He started practicing. The Rockies signed him to a minor league deal. And 2 days ago, it was announced that Daniel Bard, who has not pitched in the major leagues in 7 years, made the opening day 40-man Colorado Rocky roster as a relief pitcher. So you are seeing good stories also come out of this. A guy who loves the game so much now. Could be a comeback story. Could be something terrific. Have to see how well he pitches in actual game scenarios. But this was a really great story. I felt that because obviously Colorado had a few guys opt out, including Ian Desmond. This opened up roster spots. And now a guy like this gets one more chance. I thought it was a great story.
You know, Ray, for him, it's obvious that the contest cannot be decided by his knowledge of baseball.
Yeah.
But his skills with a lightsaber. As I hold up a Count Dooku action figure. It's a great story. It's a great story that I love comeback stories. It's just like The Rookie, the movie The Rookie almost.
Yes.
With Dennis Quaid. I love stories like this. Everyone does. You wish this guy the best of luck. If you have the talent, you have the talent. And look, if the coronavirus doesn't happen, this doesn't happen for him. So it's a cool story. It's a cool thing to follow. It shows the majesty and the romance of sport.
Yeah, exactly.
That was elegantly put.
Yeah. And I think it's something, we like to try and sometimes show, some more positive stories. There's obviously a lot of negative to talk about, and trust me, we've got some negative stuff coming. But I thought this was a really great, heartwarming story, and I think that, speaking of pitchers, of pitchers and rosters and things of that nature. So Lee really wanted me to talk about this. So I play MLB The Show 20, obviously, on my Twitch stream every week, twitch.tv/Ray Carcillo. And one of the cards I've been grinding for since the game came out was the Diamond Gerrit Cole that's on the New York Yankees. And we were in a Twitch stream. I was on Twitch stream, and I'm talking to the chat. And every other card I had gotten up to that point that day was garbage. I sold them. I got rid of them. They were terrible. And I get Gerrit Cole. And Lee, should we just play the tape? I think if you're listening to this or watching this, you must
stay tuned for this or find it. Yes, let's play the tape, Ray.
Let's go to the tape. Oh, we got a diamond. Fingers crossed. What do we got? American League starting pitcher. It's Gerrit Cole. It's Gerrit Cole of the New York Yankees. Yes, indeed. Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, adds the rotation. Yes. No, I sold him instead. Oh! Okay. I've been trying to get that card for so long. So, yeah, I sold him by accident. I sold him. No! Yeah, I sold him by accident. That was not one of my proudest moments. Not one of my best moments as a gamer.
It was one of the most funny moments you've ever had. I've watched this thing 400 times and laughed every single time. The only time I'd ever seen anything like this, if you might recognize the music from that video, was this kid was playing FIFA and got Ronaldo and threw a chair through his TV set.
Yeah.
It's immediately what I thought of.
Yeah.
And right, watching you go through all 7 stages of depression in 15 seconds was a gift to me. Not because I want you to feel bad, but it's just I've never seen anything like that before. Just from the, no, I sold them instead. And then right after that, you go like, oh. And then there's this, like, you do this thing with your lips. You're like, I did it. Right? And then I love that you search for him on your roster. Like, maybe I didn't just do what I did, which is the denial phase, right? Then it's like he's not there, and you're like, anger, and then the last stage is acceptance. You're like, yeah, I did it. I did this. I have done this. But as funny as that was, and dude, I cannot tell you how much fun I've had at Ray's expense on this. I can't tell you how much fun. And I've shared it with Ray. I've made him laugh, and he's laughing right now. There actually is a happy ending to the story that I'm going to let Ray tell you. And this really goes to show the generosity of people. Because speaking of real world money that plays into this, okay. The other thing too is that it's a testament to the gaming community. It's a testament to your friends. All right, I do not want to undersell the gratitude of this because it's funny, but it's a big deal. So Ray is going to tell you the rest of the story. So just to rewind one more time, it's Gerrit Cole. I sold him instead. I did it.
Yeah,
and then.
Yeah, and then a few minutes later, our producer Caitlin and another one of our biggest fans, Michelle, was very kind and sent me a few dollars each to buy the extra stubs I would need to buy the card back. So I was able to then go into the auction house in the game, for those who are familiar with the game, and buy the card, get the card back, and it didn't end up costing me anything out of pocket, which really meant the world to me. Honestly, I cannot thank them enough for doing that. It meant so much for them to even think to do that, and then to actually do it. And it just so I have the card now. I do have the card. I was able to complete my Yankee roster with that from my online play, and it was it was just really touching. It was just really it was a lot, and it was like Lee said, I went through a whole range of emotions, and I was ready too. I told Caitlin this. I was ready to stay up the whole night and grind to get the stubs because when you sell the card, you get about 80% of what it's worth, right? So he was worth 150,000 stubs. He's one of the most expensive cards in the game. I got like 130,000 for him for the sell. So I was gonna have to grind about 20 to 25,000 to go to the auction house and buy it. So it wasn't gonna be, but I was ready to go all night if I had to grind out those stubs. And they also bought me a good night's sleep. So I really appreciate that a lot.
So some of you out there might be saying something like $20. I could have gone on charity. Well, you don't give shit to charity, so be quiet. Number one, okay? That's number one. Number two is don't underestimate Ray sleeping. It doesn't happen that often. All right. Ray, you were born what, 85?
85, yes.
It's happened like 4 times since then. So don't give the man a break. Okay? Number 3, an incredible act of kindness. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It was a gift, as you said. You look at it like that. They didn't have to do it. Now, I got to tell you this, too. I knew they were going to do that before you did.
Yeah.
Which made it all the better for me. Because here I am watching you, I'm like, he has no idea. And I think I even told Caitlin, I can't remember if I said this. I was thinking it was like, just let him go a little bit longer. let him just feel this for a little bit longer, because I know he's going to feel good when it's over. But like, they showed me that clip, man. You were still alive. I was like, oh my God. It's like this guy. No, I saw them, it's dead. The thing is, when you watch this video, it's one of those ones you watch it over and over again. You just get to the little tiny things that you miss in it, but like you can watch the muscle memory on Ray. This is what happens. This does happen to all of us at some point. But you can see his muscle memory of selling, and then he even says, "Put him in the starting rotation." And I remember he clicks it. I'm like, that was not to put him in the starting rotation. And it's like it goes down to sell, and like. And as soon as Ray hits that sell button, you guys rewind the episode and watch it again. Or again, if you're listening to this, you must go to our Facebook page.
It's an instant recognition.
It's instant, like, oh my, Gerrit Cole.
Yeah.
Oh no. And again, listen, this may have been the funniest thing I've ever seen you do. And like I said,
that's saying something. You've seen me jumped into giant cakes. You've seen me.
This was funnier, man.
Yeah,
because it was the cake thing is funny because like you were so determined, but you were so determined.
Yeah,
to jump in a cake to get a puck to go to a hockey game.
Yeah.
This was just completely raw, and it's again, you have to watch Ray's face. Don't watch the game. That's the mistake. Watch Ray's facial expressions.
In the little corner, in the lower left corner.
It's just every single step in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That you should make that your acting reel. All right? And just be like, look what I can do if given the right motivation. All right? We need to get Gerrit Cole on the show just to tell him about this. Like, you need to watch this.
That would be quite the get. That would be quite
Caitlin,
the
our
get.
producer, you're listening.
Yeah. We know she is. Yeah.
I know. Anyway, great stuff. It was worth it. Again, if you're listening, you heard it, go watch it. It is worth your 1 minute of your time.
Yes. Oh goodness. So
no, I sold them instead.
Well, because the thing is then also I'm talking to the chat, right? So I'm still also in play-by-play mode.
I know.
So
I watched you like I gotta say something.
Yeah.
And you just sat there for a minute making weird sounds. Like,
yeah, it just.
Oh, God. What, I can't just cancel. I can't rage quit my own stream.
Yeah, I did end the stream shortly after that because I didn't know what else to do.
Caitlin, Michelle, this is what you did. Lots of props. I got lots of props tonight. Sorry.
Oh God.
Is it my turn? It's not your turn yet, Gritty.
Yeah, we still got a ways to wait before we get to hockey.
Gosh. Pushy little bastard.
That does it for baseball. Moving on now to football. We don't have a great transition here. But some good news. Something that we do.
Speaking of player cards and games.
Yes. Yes, well, the first thing is the big story, of course, that Washington will no longer be known by the mascot that they were formerly known as.
Retired.
It is officially retired.
Execute Order 66 on that name.
Yes,
Gone.
It is done. They have not officially chosen a new one because, and also this is a funny story, and this shows how smart some people are, is that as soon as this broke that they were even thinking about this, there were several gentlemen across the states who bought all kinds of copyrights for possible replacement names. And now if Dan Snyder wants to change it to certain things, he has to, he's going to have to pony up some more money. To get the copyrights, which I think is hysterical and so fitting.
Good for them, man.
Such fitting karma. But right now there's 3 front runners. The Warriors, which is a kind of a generic, just good football name. There's the Red Tails, which is the name of the nickname of the Tuskegee Airmen from World War II. And the Navajo Nation has actually put forward a name at this point as a suggestion. which I know Lee was this was something that you had talked about, that they should consult the Native American tribes here in the States. And the Navajo Nation put forward the Code Talkers, which is another World War II tribute, but this to the Native Americans who would use their native language to help get messages across lines, because against spies and all this other stuff, because obviously it's a very complex
there was a movie
language.
about it.
Yes, a very complex language that not many people speak, obviously. So those are the three front runners, all obviously better than what they once were called. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens and see what Dan Snyder comes up with. I mean, Lee, we've talked about this subject before. It's about time, honestly, that Washington changed their name.
Yeah. Yeah, look, we talked about this last week in depth, so I don't want to go to it too much, but it's not an appropriate name. And, people were fighting me a little bit online, like, well, what about this name? What about that name? And I said this: if I call the team the Brown Skins or the White Skins or the Yellow Skins, would that be okay? And everybody said no. That's kind of when the argument ends. You have to go through each team individually. This is not something you can broad out to every team.
Yeah.
And to be fair, people who want the name gone that are trying to cancel other team names, that's not correct either. Okay, yeah. You cannot apply the Redskins to the Braves. It's not a fair assessment. Or the Blackhawks, who came out right away and said, we're not changing our name. This is an ode to the Blackhawk Nation.
Yeah.
Okay, and they didn't mean the hockey fans. So it's one of those things. I think it's interesting, Code Talkers. I don't think that from a pure football standpoint that's a good name.
Right.
I'm just being honest. I wouldn't want a team called the Code Talkers. That's nothing against the Code Talkers. The Wind Talkers, as the movie was called. But I think Warriors is a great name because you can kind of morph that into whatever you want. It's easy. It's simple. It could be used a lot of different ways. The could represent a lot of different people. Red Tails is great too. It'll be interesting. We talked about, and I did talk about speaking to First Nation communities about this. If the Redskins decide not to go with a First Nation Native American name, I didn't say this, that would actually be okay too. All right, that's a decision they get to make. All right, I'm not going to yell at them if they don't go that way. I just wanted to make sure that they acknowledged it, because look, the Redskins name will always be part of the organization. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay, in terms of
it's part of history.
It's part of the history. Okay, so it'll be interesting. I really like Warriors. I've always liked that name though. I've always liked it. I always want to play for a team called the Warriors. Again, it wouldn't be the only Warriors out there, obviously, with Golden State, but
soon to be San Francisco.
Whatever it is, they're still gonna suck. So there's that.
That is true. That is very true.
This year,
they are not
show in 2035. They're not going to be a good team this year. But look, this is something for them to actually rally around. So I really hope they do the right thing. And what's the right thing, right? I mean, I just hope they move in a direction that it makes sense. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the thing is I think they're learning a lot actually this week. Just to briefly mention it, it came out that Dan Snyder and a lot of the culture around the Washington team has been pretty toxic and terrible for a lot of people.
Washington.
It's just it just generally in Washington has been really, really awful towards women and towards a lot of people in the organization. And but it came out this week, and actually Mark Cuban said something very poignant, because he dealt with this a couple years ago with the Dallas Mavericks, and he said, own your mistakes. You've made them. There's nothing you can. All you can do now is do better and try and change this culture, and learn from these mistakes. And so I mean, nobody is condoning anything Dan Snyder did or Jay Gruden or whoever else has been accused of a lot of these acts.
Robert Kraft.
Yeah, it's do they have to do better? And I think that this is going to be. I think in general you're seeing a big wake up call for a lot of people who are in these kind of positions of power and are kind of learning that this is not acceptable at all.
Look, it's not, and it's happening across multiple industries. Ray, you know that in the gaming industry, it's happening across multiple, just aspects: gender, race, religion. All right. There's also a massive anti-Semitism thing happening right now for no good reason, which is horrible. All right. So this is what I'm going to say to everybody out there. I heard this quote. I can't remember who said it, but everybody's talking about how much they hate 2020. In 2018, I heard everybody talk about how they hated 2018. 2016, I heard everybody, I hate 2016. It's the worst year ever. We're looking at it wrong. Okay? This year has seen massive changes, massive advancements, if you will, in civil rights. It's seen massive advancements in women's rights. At least in my opinion, a lot of what's happening, I don't agree with all of it, to be totally fair, but a lot of it's going the right direction. Okay? People are feeling empowered that have never felt empowered before. So yeah. I think that, when we look back in 2020, in 20 years, we'll remember the coronavirus, we'll remember the quarantine, we'll remember a lot of the crazy crap that's just happening, but we'll also say that was the year stuff started to change for X, Y, and Z for a lot of people. Okay, if you take a negative view, you're gonna find a negative view, and I'm not saying there's no negatives. I sometimes I even call myself this. I say, I'm an optimist, and people call me an optimist. I'm a realist at the end of the day. Okay, optimism doesn't get me anywhere. I can put on a smiley face, it doesn't change the world, but I do prefer to look at things like, look, there's two sides to this. Women feel empowered to stand up against oppression in the workplace. Great. There's good and bad that comes with that. Okay, everything that's happening with not just one race, but all races. There is clear progression happening, okay? It's hard, and it's tough, and people fight. People even die. It's emotional for a lot of people. It's progress.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're going the wrong direction as a whole. I know a lot of you will not agree with me on that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay? I totally respect that. That's absolutely right. I'm saying I hope that we look back on this year as a year of massive change for the better. When it comes to Dan Snyder and the things, and I've always liked Mark Cuban. I've always liked his approach to this stuff.
Yeah.
Own your mistakes. If you look at history, any player, anybody who just owns up to it, it tends to go away. A-Rod's the best example. Took steroids. I'm done for a season. I'm coming back. Yeah. No one talks about A-Rod. Nobody talks about A-Rod. Nobody really talks about him using steroids. Okay?
No.
If we talk about Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa.
Yeah, the guy's never fessed
anyone
up
from the 90s. Yeah, like, oh, well, he didn't say anything.
Well, no, even right? Andy Pettit, Jason Giambi, A-Rod, the guys who owned up to it were forgiven.
We don't talk about them.
Right, exactly. They were forgiven. We moved on. The guys we harp on and focus on are the guys who, I didn't do it. What are you talking about? I didn't do it.
Yeah. And look, this is what I'll tell you, too. I've worked in pro sports. I've worked all the way down, up and down. All right. From my early 20s, and I've seen this. I don't stand for it, okay, when I do see it. And I'll tell you this, that what I've seen the brave women do in the sporting world is pretty amazing to me, that what they have to put up with, okay? Yeah. And I decided, and this is kind of my philosophy, I'm not going to sit around feeling guilty. It's what can I do to make their experience better? What can I do to make it a more comfortable environment? And that's what I try. Even with my own companies, I have women that work for me. Our producer Caitlin is an amazing woman. Yep. We don't treat her like she's a woman. She's one of the team. She's one of us. Yep. Okay, that's how it is. She's an equal part of this. You know what I mean? So, I'm glad that culture is changing, because I'll be honest with you. We should say this now. This Thursday, we have an amazing interview coming
I was going to say, we have a very special guest coming up on this Thursday, Christina Whitlock, who's a member, one of the fourth coach program, is the St. Louis Cardinals. She's a coach within their organization. She is a professional
baseball coach in the MLB, MILB ranks, okay, and a female.
Yes.
Okay. So, and again, we I have to say this now, just so I don't preface it this way. We talked at length about how we don't want, we want to break this glass ceiling, obviously, of women in sport, but there's a bigger glass ceiling that is, she's a coach. Not she's a woman coach, a female coach, a girl coach. She's a coach. Yeah. She's a baseball coach. That's what she is. Female hockey players, they're hockey players. Not female hockey players, they're hockey players.
Yes.
That's the real glass ceiling that needs to be broken. That's, again, not just limited to women, obviously. But, we're talking about this. I work in sports. I do a lot of team building. This is my attitude, and I've utilized this with women several times. If anyone, I just happen to be talking about women right now, if anyone knows something that I don't know that's going to help me win, help my business, help my friendship, help my life, I don't care what color, race, religion, gender. If you've got knowledge that's going to help me, I want to know it.
Yep.
I want to know it. So when it comes to the state of sports or anything, that's the approach. And I've watched for so long, wow, she's a girl, she doesn't really know. How do you know that? I work in team building. I can tell you right now that men can learn a lot about team building from women.
It's a different perspective, and that's
it totally is.
It's always
and
a good
lot
thing.
of my philosophy, which is successful, I win a lot. I have no problem telling you that. I don't care if it sounds pompous to you. It's the truth. Ray will tell you that.
Yes, Lee has won a lot. It's true.
Okay, it comes. I've learned a lot from women on how to do that because I was willing to do it. There's nothing holding me back. Okay, so I wasn't trying to make this grander than it is, but that's my viewpoint on it. Is that I don't care. We need to be empowering everyone all the time that is working their butts off to get to where they need to be. I'm Lee Elias, and I approve this message.
Yes, and typically we don't go here with this kind of stuff, but I also just want to briefly mention, because it happened a couple days ago and it was a big deal, as we talk about people fighting for equal rights and for moving in the right direction as a country. One of the great civil rights leaders of any time, John Lewis, unfortunately passed away at the age of 80 this weekend. And we just wanted to give a quick shout out of condolences to his friends, his family, and really we as a nation are worse off without him in it. But we are better to have had him in it for the time we did. Of course, he was one of the folks. He was famously, he had his skull fractured as they marched across the Pettus Bridge down in Selma, and of course has been a representative in the U.S. Congress for the past 30 years. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, you don't care about politics, you do. This man was a legend and somebody who he called it. He liked to get into he got into good trouble, and it was. And again, we're all better off for it. So just since we're on that message, I figured it would be probably good to drop that in there.
And I will say two things. That one, this is non-political because there was admiration for this man from both sides after he died. Clear admiration from both sides. I did not hear one bad word about him. I've heard plenty of bad words about him when he was alive. But like even Washington knows this man was a hero. And even though we may, but even though some people may not have agreed with his politics or how he wanted to get to the end result, they understood that this man was a hero and that he stood for something. And that's what makes America great, for real, is people like him. The other thing I'll say too is that again, I don't want to go too far into this. It just shows you that, a lot of what you see on TV with Washington, this kind of equates to sports too. You see these two teams going against each other. They have lunch with each other sometimes after that. You'll see them on TV fighting, and then they'll go to lunch together because that's how it is. I want to be in the room where it happened, that's how it is. Yeah. Okay, they know they got to work together to find something. When they don't, you kind of get to where we are now. So anyway, listen, great life, really great life. Study that man, or just take the 10 seconds to go on Wikipedia, look him up if you don't know who he is. Just read about him, because this is someone who fundamentally helped push this country forward. Again, I didn't always agree with him, but that's not the point.
Right.
He was a real, true American, and he loved this country. He really did love this country.
Yes. Oh, goodness. So
good luck segueing out of that, Ray.
Yeah.
You put yourself in this position.
Yeah, I know. You know what else this country loves is football. More football.
Football! I was going to say, do you need me to help you? Watch, I'll help you right now. Yeah. Oh, look, it's Gerrit. Wait a second.
The Philly fanatic. Oh. Well, that's hockey and baseball. That's okay.
There you go.
A couple more football stories for everyone. The Rams and the Chargers got their first the MouthShield helmets. These are different helmets. We talked about this a couple weeks on the show, potentially to make it better to try and limit the spread of the virus. J.J. Watt of the Texans came out vehemently against them, which, again, it just seems to be the microcosm of this country, mask versus no mask. I think this is all too politicized. I think that if it's good enough for the Rams and Chargers, I mean anything's good enough for the Chargers at this point. But I think it's something that should be tried. I think it should be tried. And I think the league is aware of it. And I think again that if a player isn't willing to do what's necessary to be safe on the field, then they can do what's being done in baseball, which is opt out for the year. So I love J.J. Watt as a player. He's an absolute monster on the field. But if you're not comfortable wearing these masks, JJ, then you don't have to play. That's my thought. That's my thoughts on
it. It's weird hearing it from him, to be honest with you. Part of me wants to know, I want to know the context in which he said that. Because,
that is true.
Because this is the thing. He's done so much good. He just doesn't seem like a guy.
I was shocked
could
when
be
I
wrong.
heard it was him. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, I wonder if he saw it and was like, I ain't wearing that. Just like that. And people were like, oh, you said he's not going to wear this.
And everything got blown out of context. Admittedly, I also did not do probably as much research on this as
No. I'm not shouting at you, Ray. We got to talk about it. It's the nature of the show. But like so many things, I just want to know how he meant it. And again, look, we'll know soon enough.
Yeah.
All right. I think those helmets look pretty badass, to be honest with you. And
we saw the Bears variant, and it looked really cool.
Look, here's the deal. You want the truth? Okay. If the NFL, if the NFL mandates this thing, nothing's stopping J.J. Watt from playing. Not even a mask. This guy flips tires over for fun.
Yeah.
Down a 100-yard field. He'll play. They'll all play, and or they won't. That's the way it is.
That's it.
I just I don't see him not playing because of that.
I think everyone will come around to logic. We have to note we're recording this on the 19th. The NFL, I believe, is set to report to camp on the 28th, about 9 days from now. So we'll see. We'll see exactly what happens.
I do want to say this again. To be fair, in football, okay, they have other problems than just the mask because these guys are touching each other every play. That's the real. And I would say I'm wondering if he meant that it's not going to matter. He might have went down that road with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, I mean, like I said, if they really want to do this, it's just everyone's got to be wearing full body everything. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Whatever.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Well, like I said, we'll find out in about 9 days, probably when guys start to report. So,
Thank God.
Other things that might change in the NFL. Well, we know for a fact that Madden has already come out and said that whenever Washington chooses their new name, they will make a patch. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they also patch in these new masks. But the one thing they won't patch, at least until after week 1, is the new Madden ratings came out this week, and everybody's flipping out because Gronk is a 95. Now, first off, I think obviously the Madden ratings are always ridiculous. I think they make too big of a deal about all of these a lot of times. But I also do agree the fact that Gronk, who hasn't played in the NFL in 18 months, and we don't know what kind of shape he's in, going to a brand new team, even though he has Tom Brady, 95? Really? You think he's going to get back to that level right now? I know the guys who work down at EA Tiburon. You guys been in isolation too long? What's the matter with you? A 95? Come on!
Ray, look at me right now.
Yeah.
Look at me right now. You're looking at me?
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
Those of you listening, get really close to your radio. Look, I'm not going to yell at your ear. Don't worry. Ready? Ray.
Yeah.
It's a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
You want to say that again? Watch me again. Look.
Yeah.
It's a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
All right? There's the guys, I mean, I don't, you're the snake oil. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? This is exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why Carson Wentz is not in the top 10 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
All right? They do this every year. We fall for it every year. To be fair, kind of genius because we need something to talk about right now.
That is true.
Okay? But yeah, I'm just going to do this one more time. Look, Ray, it's a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't even want to talk about Madden ratings. It's not real.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, though, I mean, and again, something that they've done with modern technology, which I do appreciate. Madden ratings used to be a bigger deal back in the day, but
that's because they were accurate.
Well, they were accurate, but also they had to be accurate because now they do what they call a hot patch every week. After every game, after every performance, the numbers go up and down for a guy. After every performance. So he won't be, trust me, folks, if he has a bad game to start, he will not be a 95 for long. I agree that it is a little ridiculous to start with because there's going to be folks playing offline. They're going to try and milk that for as long as possible. But he is, the beautiful thing is that now that they do it every week after updating, it's not that big a deal.
Listen, we've given you all plenty to comment on below in this show. Plenty. All right, which I hope you'll do. Whether you agree with us or not, we want to hear from you. That we never turn down a good conversation, ever. Mm-hmm. But, I don't get I honestly don't get why they put the rankings up down every week after every performance.
Yeah.
To me, it's a season-to-season thing. I think it. I just again. Let me rephrase this. I do get it. Okay. I mean, I do get it on the basic level, but like the ranking them game by game. This is a video game.
Yeah.
This is a video game, not real life. Like the video game cannot take into account the argument that these guys have with their wives or them missing their kids. Okay? That's why I think it should be an annual performance rating, or at least a mid-season would make sense too.
That's how they used to do it, was mid-season.
Okay, yeah,
kind of
that
thing,
that made sense. Okay, you can't rate a player after one game, and what you're going to do, Madden, EA Sports, if you're listening, is you're going to take away any chance of Ray getting a J.J. Watt card and selling it by accident, even though they don't even do that in the game. No, I sold him instead. Not J.J. Watt. Gronk, excuse me.
Any of them.
All right.
Any of them.
And by the way, I think Gronk's going to come back and be awesome, just so everybody knows, okay?
He'll probably,
We've
I think
seen this
he'll
before.
have a good year. Yeah, now that he's
The
fresh.
guy is, what is he, 6'7"?
It's something,
right?
he's like 6'4", 6'5" for sure. Like
And who's throwing to him? Some guy,
Tom
some
Brady.
scrub?
Yeah, some guy named Tom Brady.
Oh, greatest quarterback in
plus,
the league.
plus he's in an offense with Mike Evans. And there's other targets in this Tampa Bay offense.
Yeah, there's no chance they'll succeed. Come on, guys. What are we doing here? It's very, like I said, you know what? You know how a tool, it doesn't matter if the guy can even run, which he can. You know how valuable a 6'7" giant tool is?
Yeah.
Actually, that has double meaning, and it works both ways. I'm thinking about it.
That's what she said.
Whoa, okay. That's not what I meant, but okay. I was calling the guy a tool. Ray went another direction with it. That's okay. This is Geeks Who Like Sports, our last episode. Thanks for listening.
Wait, that's the thing that's going to get us canceled? Are you kidding me?
Well, when we get to the next segment, you'll realize how ridiculous things can get, Ray. That's a perfect segue.
That's true. So now moving on to hockey, our last sports segment of the day.
Oh, boy.
He's one of the best players of all time. He, even though he never won a cup, he was unstoppable in the mid-'90s in video games. He was fun to listen to. I have his
poster on my wall, man. I have his poster on my wall in my childhood home.
And he was fun to listen to as an analyst, I think personally. Jeremy Roenick, though, of course, was let go by NBC Sports a couple months ago now, I believe, for some comments he made on it.
Yeah, it was early this season, so I think it was late last year. But yes, go ahead. Sorry.
So it's been we'll say 4 or 5 months.
Yes.
Jeremy Roenick made some comments on a podcast that were offensive. They weren't great. They weren't smart.
Inappropriate.
They were inappropriate. Yes.
Inappropriate.
I've heard a lot worse. For sure.
Yes.
But he was fired over some inappropriate comments made on a podcast, and now is suing NBC Sports for wrongful termination, which that I get, but
the grounds
is anti-straight discrimination.
Yeah. Heterosexual discrimination.
Yes. Oh, God damn it, Jeremy!
Let me jump in here. Okay, so let's give you all a little context on this real quick. Okay, so he was on a podcast, a very, very popular hockey podcast, and insinuated that is what he did. It was just insinuated that he would like to have a threesome with his wife and another NBC female announcer. Okay, who he is very good friends with. Okay. He immediately apologized. The anchor that he was referencing, who is, again, a very good friend of his, said openly this was inappropriate, but he's my friend, and it was inappropriate. Again, Roenick apologized. NBC suspended him. Sorry, that's a tongue twister apparently, and eventually just released him from his contract. Okay, I thought NBC handled that very poorly. Okay, I thought he did the right thing. He apologized immediately. I'm going to reiterate this. We have a football player that's quoting Hitler. He's still on the team, which I don't have a problem with after the way that was handled, because it was handled. He apologized, and the team, he's back on his team. And I think I have a feeling that's what spurred this, by the way. Okay, and then they let him go, and Roenick was very upset about this. Now, this is the funny thing about it. Okay, and follow me here, please. Please follow me the whole way here. Okay. Heterosexual discrimination is now a thing. Wasn't before. It is a thing now. Okay? His case, follow me, Ray, kind of has a point. Kind of. It sounds ridiculous, but he kind of has an argument, okay? Which I don't even want to go into about why he kind of has an argument. But if we're going on the prerequisite of homosexual discrimination, he actually has some road to work with here is what I'm trying to say, from a legal precedent, okay? I don't want to discuss if it's actually that or not. I'll say that for another episode. I'm just saying that he has a little bit of road here. Now, with that said, and this is the real key here, we just do not have the patience, the maturity as a nation right now with everything going on to deal with this in a way that's going to make sense.
Yeah.
All right? And I love Jeremy Roenick. I do. He's one of my favorite players. I said this. He was one of my favorite announcers. And it's just like this is unfortunately going to paint him in a light now he can never get out of because there's no way this is not going to be politicized.
Yeah.
Right? There's no way that the people are not going to have to make a choice now. Okay? Even if, and this is why I'm not going into it, even if he has a point, we can't handle things like that right now. People are immediately going to pick a side, not listen to any facts, not listen to any arguments, and it's just going to go out of control. In fact, I know that because of the way it's been posted online. Mm-hmm. It's either a, can you believe this crap? Or a, he's got a point. And all I'm saying is that I kind of see it, but I need some more information. I want to see where this goes. You know, there's legal precedents. It's called a logical view. All right? But that's look, there's nothing logical about the time period we're in. That's in myself included, right? There's just nothing. Yeah. The world's crazy right now. So I'm going to see where this goes before I make any judgment. I promise you all, if there's a line that I feel is crossed, which I don't think is crossed, I think it's just shocking right now. Okay, to be fair, I don't think he's crossed any lines yet. Right? Like that's the American legal system. He can do whatever he needs. But we'll be following this week to week, and you can catch it all here on LE Sports.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate circumstance.
Tell me what you would feel, Ray. If you think it's ridiculous, you can say it. I'm just saying I don't know.
I just think it's suing for wrongful discrimination. I get.
Yeah.
But I think his grounds are. I don't know. I think that his grounds are kind of stupid. I think that.
But sure, it does sound stupid. Like here's the thing about law, and this is something I have conversations with people every 4 years. If you set a precedent, and this is why you have to be careful with law, and you have to be careful with causes, because you have to really think about it long term. If you set a precedent, it sets an equal or opposite reaction. So if you do it for one group that you think needs to be done, it applies to everyone all of a sudden. So he's basing this off of a legal precedent, which is obviously based on homosexual discrimination. So it's going to be on him now to prove that he has a case. Like, because if you have one, you have to have the other. That's just the way it is. I mean, like, there's no. You can disagree with the reasoning. You can disagree with the facts. But like, there's no disagreeing with that. It's within his legal right to do this. So I don't want anybody listening to think I'm supporting the man right now. I'm saying I have no comment on it because I don't know enough about it.
I mean, it's definitely within.
Why now?
It's definitely within his legal rights for sure to sue for this and whatnot. I mean, I think people will compare it to, well, I was discriminated against because I was white, right? They're going to compare it to that. And
that's why I said we don't have the maturity for this right now. That's
right, exactly, because again, and there's obviously, like you mentioned, there is this precedent, and it'll be up to him and his lawyers and his legal team to set the idea that there can be that kind of discrimination, because we typically think of discrimination. Really, discrimination is against minority groups. And heterosexuals, white people, these are not minority groups.
And the law does not see it that way. And that's actually the beauty of our system. But like I said, look, if he has a precedent of anyone, it doesn't have to be homosexual or heterosexual, saying something similar and not getting fired, he'll win that case. And what will most likely happen is there'll be a settlement.
That's exactly what will end up exactly. What will end up happening is they'll settle out of court. This will never get to court because it'll turn into a spectacle that NBC Sports does not need right now. And that's probably what will happen, because that's usually what happens with a lot of these big cases, is that they're just they settle out of court.
The other question is going to be what is this going to do for his career? Like, so he's either made a decision that's going to end his broadcast career or public career, or he's made one that's going to vault it somehow. We'll find out in time.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is definitely going to be a wait and see thing, and we will definitely wait and see and commentate as things go. But that does it for us in the sports section for Geeks Who Like Sports. We, of course, now have our mashup. This will be a fun one. I have a lot to say about this one. We talked a little bit about Madden Ratings a little while ago. We want to know, what would a comic book character's rating be, and how would they react? Would their if their rating was too low, or if their rating was too high? For me, the first one that immediately comes to mind...
We got to disqualify Deadpool first.
Yes, Deadpool is disqualified.
Deadpool's disqualified.
He's automatically 101 out of 100, so we cannot...
he's out of it,
Yeah, he's out of it as usual. For me... The thing I think of is that Thor would be underrated, and he would be very unhappy about it.
Strongest Avenger.
Much like his, with that password for Tony Stark, he would have like an 89 rating or whatever, and his strength would probably be in the high 80s as well. And he would be like, "Well, what? But I'm the strongest Avenger. Why am I not
strongest Avenger?
Why am I not a 99?" And he would probably freak out and have a tantrum and take to Twitter and curse out EA Sports, as some folks have done. And I think it would just be, Thor would be the guy who would overreact for being, for what in his mind, he getting a low rating. Although 89, I think, is very strong.
Depends on the game. I think one to think about would actually be Batman, because he would be, here's the thing. I don't think Batman would care about his rating, but he'd be getting like a 30 if it was a DC football game with the other superheroes. I mean, maybe not even that. Okay, but the thing is, he wouldn't care. He'd find a way to manipulate the system.
Batman would be the kicker. Batman would be the kicker in a DC football game. Let's be honest.
Do you think someone like Sinestro would have a problem, or do you think he wouldn't care? From Green Lantern, obviously.
I think Sinestro wouldn't care whatsoever. I don't think he cares about anyone's opinion of him. I think he is so self-centered. What was that?
Maybe Hal Jordan, then.
Oh, Hal Jordan would super take it personally if he was underrated. I mean, that cocky SOB would be like in everyone's face if he didn't get a high enough rating. I mean, and the thing is, to me, Hal Jordan's not even the greatest of the Green Lanterns. So.
Well, no, he's not. I mean, he's not.
He's not.
No question on that. He's not.
No.
A couple more. One I bring up a lot. I'm not going to go in depth. Booster Gold would absolutely be devastated if he had a low ranking. Yeah. Again, if you don't know about Booster Gold, look him up. Great comic book character. And then Death of Superman era Superboy would have a major problem with his ranking.
Yes.
Okay, he'd be ranked high, probably probably the high 80s. I mean, he's essentially Superman, but he would if he's not 100, he's not going to be able to take it. Obviously, he matures as he gets a little bit older.
Yeah.
But him, Lex Luthor would have a problem, most likely.
Yeah, a lot of villains would have a huge problem because of their egos. Cyborg Superman, I think, would go absolutely crazy. Speaking about that
Crenshaw,
that error, yeah, exactly, Hank Crenshaw.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that
There's
definitely
a lot of good ones here.
There's definitely a lot of villains who would take it super personally if they didn't have a very high rating.
Well, I can tell you some heroes. I can tell you some heroes right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can tell you two heroes. These are not essentially comics. I can tell you two heroes right now that would have a problem and would complain and would whine. Anakin and Luke Skywalker, because all they do is complain.
Yeah.
I was going to go to the Tashi station to pick up some counter converters. I am stronger. Just shut up. I'm going to slaughter all of them. They're whiny jerks. The real heroes of Star Wars are the women. Let's be honest.
It's true. I mean, Leia basically married Poppins herself back off a ship in deep space while she was frozen. You know,
Star-Lord would have a problem with his ranking, by the way.
Star-Lord would have a problem.
Yeah.
Drax would probably have a problem. Trying to think,
talk about it.
Would the Ninja Turtles all be the same rating?
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
Uh-huh.
You know, actually, there's no next week we have to talk about the comic book coming out with them with the Ronin.
Yes.
But you know, which is cool. Just real teaser that they just announced they're going to release a comic book where all the turtles but one are dead, and we're speculating now if it's going to be kind of a comic book where each one of them has a story within that storyline, which is very dark and very awesome and very welcome. Anyway, no, they would not have all the same rating, but that's part of what makes it really great. I mean, even in the old video games of Ninja Turtles, you had to select the right turtle for the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I guess it depends on the game we're playing. Because if we're playing, like, an athletic game, you know, all of a sudden, like, Raph is number one, right? But if we're playing a mind game, it's Donnie. You know, if we're playing, you know, like a game where, you need to walk the RPG, it's Leo. You know? And then if you're playing any Switch game, it's...
It's Michelangelo.
You know what I mean? Yeah, any Switch game at all. Sonic, whatever.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That is a very good point.
But let us know what you think.
Yes, I was just about to say, but comment below. Let us know what you guys think of what superheroes would like their rating, which ones they wouldn't. Would they be underrated, overrated? Would they overreact? Would they take it in stride? Let us know. These are our thoughts. But yeah, we got a good episode.
Ray, real quick.
Yes.
Ray, I'm sorry. I need your expertise on this. I apologize. I know you're about to close. Which comic book character would have the best rating? The highest rating ever in the game.
The highest?
Yeah. And here's the thing. It's probably a villain. I mean, it's like Superman kind of is up there. Superman's a 99. So who's higher than Superman?
Superman is... Yeah, I don't think you can actually rate someone higher than Superman. Yeah. I think a whole.
We're talking Darkseid. We're talking Thanos. Talking.
Dr.
Doom. Dr. Doom is very powerful.
That's very true. They're all very high. Thanos' ego is his weak point, obviously. There's so many. I mean, Magneto's actually very powerful and actually very high up there as well.
Yeah, Apocalypse.
Apocalypse is a great one. Apocalypse maybe. Yeah, Apocalypse might be another 99. There.
Don't go on the movie alone.
Yeah. No, we're not talking about the movie. That's
Who's
a really
Quicksilver. The guy Quicksilver speaks for.
Oh, the Silver Surfer. You mean
Galactus?
Yeah.
What did I say? Sorry.
Quicksilver.
Sorry, that's my mistake. I meant Silver Surfer. Galactus is another one.
Galactus. Any of the cosmic beings is somebody to be reckoned with.
Yes.
I definitely.
Sorry, I had to ask.
Yeah, no, I think that Superman is probably the highest rated overall.
It's just because he's the bar. You know what I mean?
Exactly. He is the bar, and I think that everyone else is trying to reach that. And I think you'll have a couple of villains who will get close. Darkseid is obviously up there. Apocalypse easily is up there. They're very, very close, if not there as well. But I don't know if there's any other heroes that would be ranked that high. I mean, you'll have heroes in the 90s for sure. Like I would put Smart Hulk in the 90s. Iron Man would be in the low 90s. Spider-Man in the low 90s. Wolverine in the low 90s. But Superman level, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, and here's the little quick trivia for you. Do you know or can you name a player that had the highest Madden ranking of all time?
I'm looking at all time?
Yeah, one of the highest. And it's a little bit of a tricky question because it didn't always go up to 100. Sometimes it did go over 100.
Yeah, I mean, everyone talks about 04 Vic.
Yeah, that's definitely on this list that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
He didn't have a 99 rating in that, though. He's just the best player.
Yeah. It's hard to I can't trying to remember. There was a few years ago. I mean, Lamar Jackson this year is very high. He's a 97, I believe.
Right.
I'm trying to think what else is.
Adrian Peterson hit 98 a few times.
Yeah, did Marshall Faulk in his prime get that high when he was with the Rams?
See him on this
the greatest show on turf.
I don't see him on this list. I do see Mike Allstott on this list.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, right? Here's a name though. Jerry Rice received 189 overall rating in Madden 99. So I wonder how they did ratings back then.
That's.
Right. And
wow.
Unfortunately, the truth is the highest rated player who was never in them, unfortunately didn't get it, would have been Bo Jackson probably.
Oh yeah, it would have been Bo. If Madden was around and could use players like that, it would be Bo.
101.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's what he would be. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to make this go long. Thank you everybody for sticking around. We're good. This is actually compared to our last few episodes, we're actually ahead of schedule.
But yeah, we got we got a great week of programming up for you. Obviously, the new show out right now that you're listening to that we appreciate. Of course, Thursday, Christina Whitlock of the St. Louis Cardinals organization will be on. And then, of course, we've got a couple other big guests that we are
going to be talking to. We've got another interview scheduled for later this week that we'll have in the can for next week, and we'll reveal that on the next episode. But for Lee, I'm Ray. This has been episode 66. Episode 66 of Geeks Who Like Sports. Thank you all so much for watching or listening. As always, we love it to hear from you guys. So comment below, follow the Facebook group. You know the deal. Listen where podcasts are ever heard. And that's it for this episode. Oh, almost shook my whole computer there. Good night, everybody.